Can you give us some injury news first of all, please?
Yes, Adam Lallana has made good progress. We think he'll train tomorrow, hopefully. So that's good for us. Whether he's able to start the game is another thing, but it's good that he's available. Adam Webster will still be missing. Little setback with his injury, so he's looking more. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe outside chance Tottenham, but if not, after the international break. Enoch's come back from his illness, so had his first training session today. The weekend might be a bit too soon for him, but good that he's back. And Jeremy Sarmiento's been training, so he's involved in the squad. And I think that's it.
Good stuff. We've spoken many times through the season about how results and series of results can be interpreted differently. In terms of performance, how much closer was the one against Villa to where you want it to be compared to Burnley, and how much more do you want this weekend?
Well, I think you're right, it was closer to what we want, but with still room to improve, I would say. I mean, Burnley was particularly poor, and whilst I don't think it was a terrible performance against Aston Villa, it wasn't a fantastic one either. So we have to be fair with our analysis there. Better, but and again, probably an evenish game, tight game. They scored, we didn't, which is often the difference. And but still stuff to improve, and we'll need to, because we're playing Newcastle, who are really in form. Eddie's done a fantastic job there since he's gone in, so we're under no illusion. We know it's going to be a tough game, so we have to improve again.
It's a very small sample size I'm going to use, but over the last few weeks you've conceded a few more goals than you've been used to perhaps this season. Is that down to any change of approach or individual mistakes, or anything you can put your finger on generally?
Well, at half-time at Manchester United, we were probably thinking it's looking okay, and then we make a mistake and get a man sent off, so we spend 40 minutes with 10 men, which of course influences things, and you're playing against someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, who can finish with the level that is of an incredible level. So there's a bit of that, and then a poor team performance means that you can be susceptible to conceding. I would say when you analyse the game against Burnley, even though we were poor and even though they were better, in terms of chances, it was a relatively... There wasn't that many in the game, but they were very efficient and scored theirs. And again, against Aston Villa, a tight game. It's not like you analyse the game and they're getting chance after chance after chance after chance, and in the end you concede. It's sometimes the quality of the league, the quality of the opponent, quality of the individual action can really damage you. There are other factors, of course, because you could look at, over the last two windows we've sold £65 million worth of centre-backs, and a couple of the guys that we've got haven't been available for different periods of time. So clearly that's also a challenge. Not excuses, but just something to add some depth to analysis. So when you add it all up, these things can happen, and we're a normal team with the same challenges that everybody has, which is you're playing at a top level and the opponent is also good.
I know it's only been a couple of weeks since you last spoke about one of those centre-backs, but how impressed have you been with Dan Burns' start up at St James's?
No, I think he's done really well. What we would expect of him, I would say, because everyone held him in such a high regard here. He was fantastic for me, as I've said before, and I think he's playing with a real confidence, a real maturity that he had, and it's nice that he's taken that to his new club. So we're pleased for him. Obviously, we don't want it to go so well for him on the weekend, but apart from that, we obviously wish him well.
I know he's someone else's player now, but have you kept in touch at all? Has he told you whether the boyhood dreams he had of playing there have matched the reality?
Oh, the guys have been in touch, and I look forward to seeing him at the game. I think I would imagine that all that you've said is true for him. I think it's an exciting move for him. It's an exciting time. I think normally when we've played Newcastle, there's been quite a bit of negativity around. So it's in some ways we're looking forward to seeing the other side, which is a positive crowd, I guess, a team behind the team. So that increases the challenge for us, but that's also exciting.
That'll do me. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Mark, if you want to start us off, then we go to James and then Johnny. And I'll take hands for anything for tomorrow.
Graham, it's Mark. Can you hear me okay?
Hi Mark, yeah, no problem.
Apologies for not being there in person. Hopefully this is the last week of this, so
No problem.
I look forward to that. Clearly at the moment, everyone's thoughts are with the people of Ukraine. The football club, both the men's and the women's teams, have got permission to wear their yellow and blue away jersey as a sign of unity, with all of the profits going to the British Red Cross Ukraine crisis appeal. What does that say about the club, their thoughts, and the difficult moments that everyone in the world is facing right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose the only thing we can do is show support and solidarity to the people of Ukraine. It's a terrible situation. War is something that you utter the word and it feels catastrophic, because people are suffering and people are going to lose their life. So we're in this very fortunate position that we can play a football match in a free world, and so the least we can do is show our support in a smaller way. Of course it is, but it's still our support to the people of Ukraine that are going through a terrible thing.
How difficult is it for you? I know doing my job I find things tough just to focus, because you do feel so helpless in this situation. How difficult for you has it been, particularly when you're looking after a large group of players and staff, to find that focus when, right now, at times, football feels so insignificant?
Yeah, I think it's a worrying time for us all, Mark, isn't it? It's, I've got a young family, and my eldest is 12 years old, and he comes back and he reads things and he sees things about World War III and nuclear attacks, and it's a terrible state to be in, and it's as a human being we're all worried. You're worried for the people of Ukraine, you're worried for the situation that's happening now, but you're also worried for the future. And I think that's the challenge for us all, to try and make sense of it. How do we, we're in this world, like I said, we're in a privileged, lucky position. It's hard to influence things over there. It's hard enough to influence things in our own country, let alone over there, but all you can do is try to make sense of it and try to do your job and look after your family and the people around you as best you can, and be thankful that it isn't you.
Thank you for that. This season for Brighton has been a positive one, but of course recent results suggest you're going through your most difficult spell. You've not lost back-to-back games this season, and unfortunately you've now lost 3. You don't have experience of that this season. So what have you done, or what have you challenged the players to do perhaps differently to try and turn things around?
Well, I think, we've been together for 2.5 years, so we have had experiences like this. It's part of the season in the Premier League. You'll come under situations where things don't go as well as you'd like, and part of the challenge of this level is you have to deal with that, and you have to deal with it in an honest way. You have to analyse it correctly and as well as you can and thoroughly as you can, and then you try to improve. I mean, I think you're right. I think overall it's positive, but the recency of the result that you just had is the lens that you look through, and then you're in a danger that it can be a bit more catastrophic than the reality. The reality of it is that we've still got the points we have, and we've got an opportunity to have a really exciting last 12 games, I think it is, of the season, and that's what we'll try to do. But always, as I've said before, there's a young group with some young players that are developing in the Premier League. We're trying to play a style that fits us, that is challenging, but also gives us a chance to grow as a football club. So along the way, as I've said before, there's bumps in the road, and it's not quite a sexy onward journey that goes up all the time. Sometimes you get your backside kicked and you have to get up again, and that's, our supporters wouldn't expect anything else from us than that. And it's a chance for us to, you can look at it as a thing that you want to always win, which is normal, but you also have to take the defeat and learn and grow from that.
And final one from me. As a football man, when you see a young British manager like Eddie Howe go into a huge football club that is Newcastle, knowing his background and the journey he's been on from the lower leagues into the Premier League, did you always envisage and think that from the outside looking in, he was the type of character that could get the best out of that players and turn things around? Because certainly having won 4 of their last 5, unbeaten in 7, it looks like he's doing a tremendous job. Was that something you always thought would be the case when he went into that club?
Yes, is my honest opinion. I mean, I have a huge respect for Eddie, for his career and what he's achieved. I'm sure he would have reflected on the end of his time at Bournemouth and used the time away to understand a bit more about himself and to come back as a better coach, a better manager. But at the same time, you see what he did at Bournemouth, I have a huge respect for. I think it just goes to show how sort of talented he is and resilient he is, that he's able to take on everything that happened at Bournemouth, have some time away and come to a new challenge, and has done it really well. You know, people talk a lot about they've invested, of course they have, but also the players that were there before, I think he's made a huge difference to, and that's credit to him and his staff.
Thanks, Graham, all the best.
And to you.
Hi Graham, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you, Graham. What do you think the side's been lacking in the last 3 games? Is there a constant there, or do you think it's a multitude of factors?
In the last 3 games, well, like I said, at half-time against Manchester United, I thought we were okay, probably created the best chance of the game, probably the better team, and then we make a mistake, we concede a goal, off the kick-off, we get a man sent off, and the game goes pretty much that way from us. So then it was difficult to play with 10 men in that type of environment. And then against Burnley, I thought it was a combination of the opponent did well, adapted well to the conditions, adapted well to the day. We didn't play well. Probably attacked too fast, didn't build up as well as we could, lost a bit of stability in that. So a combination of those things mean that it was a team performance that wasn't like we're used to. And against Aston Villa, like I said, it was I thought up until their goal, which came a bit out of the blue really, we had 2 really good attacks, but then again you're down in the game and you've got to try and find a solution against a well-organised defensive side with attacking players on the transition like Coutinho that they signed from Barcelona that are talented. So these are the challenges you face in this league. Like I said before, it's the Premier League. So if anybody thinks it's going to be easy, then they can maybe come and sit here. They'll do better.
You've got a really good record against Newcastle in the last few years. Do you think that counts for much heading into this game when you consider the changes that Newcastle have made in the last few months?
I'd like to say yes, but the truth is no. We've played Newcastle before. I would say, in as I said earlier, not slightly more negative situations for Newcastle, or empty stadium. So I think you go up to St James's Park with a full house, with a full house behind their team, behind everything that's going on there. It's a completely different challenge, which is great for us. It's a great experience for us to have. But I think whatever's happened in the past is the past, and we have to, start at the game and play well and compete and do all the things you need to do to get anything in the Premier League.
What changes have you noticed since Eddie Howe's taken over?
Well, I think everything's improved, quite simply. More on the front foot, more intense, attack better, defend better. Obviously, everything's grown in terms of results and positivity. The investment, the crowd, the environment has become a lot more positive. But that's, I think Eddie and his staff have been the catalyst for that. And they've, like I said, not only just invested in players, they've also improved the ones that were there before. So I think everything is improved, and I know that probably bears out if you look at the results.
And finally, from me, how important a stance do you think it is that the club are making this weekend when it comes to wearing the yellow and blue kit, and the fact that all profits from the sales of the kit is going to go towards charity helping people in Ukraine?
Well, as I said earlier, it's very important. You know, we can't do, the truth is we can't do too much else other than, you know, symbolically show our support, do what we can, and I think I would expect that of our football club, as I would expect from most football clubs, to be honest. Like, we're all appalled at the situation. We're all thinking about the people of Ukraine, and I suppose, you know, we all want to try and do our little bit, although it is a little bit, to help.
Hi, Graham.
Hi, Johnny.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you in person down there next week, like Mark said. I just on that sort of situation, sometimes it's difficult to separate sport and politics, isn't it? And we saw that in lockdown, didn't we, where footballers came under quite a lot of scrutiny, didn't they, in terms of what was happening and whether they should continue playing, etc. How difficult is it, do you think, for footballers in this day and age to try and focus on what they're trying to do as well, with everything happening around side? Because you often talk about the human element of it, but this seems to be a unified, positive message coming from the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard for everybody at the moment. That's what I would say. I think if there's a war going on, then everybody feels that. So as footballers, it will be the same. Like I said, I have a family that have concerns, that see things. I think, yeah, your wider point about football, that there is sometimes a responsibility put on in terms of speaking about issues like war, like other things that are very, very important. That is a challenge, because, you know, we might not have all the information, we might not be the expert on these things from a human being perspective. All you can do is offer your perspective as a man, as a father, with acknowledging the fact that, yeah, my expertise isn't probably the areas that you talk about, but I think you still have a responsibility to be able to offer an opinion at the level that is appropriate, in terms of this is a pre-match press conference playing Newcastle United, so it's not so easy to get into the, you know, the fall of the Soviet Union or whatever it is in the aspect of talking about the subject in any more depth.
Yeah, hugely challenging, I admit. In terms of your squad, how good is it to have Enoch and Wepu coming back into the frame? I mean, he was just starting to sort of hit some form and be a real key sort of component of the squad, wasn't he, before having to miss out?
Yeah, he was. He's had a really frustrating time. You know, illness a few times has set him back. Couple of injuries, which can sometimes happen when you're adapting to the level and the physical intensity of the league. So yeah, he's been frustrated, and I feel for him. But like you say, he'll train with the group tomorrow. We'll assess how able he is to be in the squad for the weekend. I think it's a little bit doubtful as it is, because just the time that he's had. But it's fantastic that he's back, and we're looking forward to hopefully finishing the season off strong.
And in that midfield area, with the results being as they have been, do the likes of Pascal Gross, Steven Alzate, Moises Caicedo, do these people come more to the front of your mind in contention? Yeah,
I think so. I think when it would be wrong of me, I think, if results aren't good and performances aren't good, for us to not consider all possibilities and to make sure you double check your thinking. So, I mean, I know the squad we have, I know the talent we have, and as I've said many a time, there are players that train that deserve to play based on what they give the team, but I can only pick 11, and that's the good thing about the competition we have. It's a good thing about the group we have, because the competition is good, but it's respectful and it's supportive. So then it's just down to us to try to find the right solution and do our best.
You mentioned the challenges of going to St James's Park in a slightly different atmosphere to previous years. Does that in some way take the pressure off your squad to a certain degree?
Well, I mean, pressure, there's always pressure, I think, to win a game, to to play well in the Premier League, you know that you're going up there and you've got to perform to the highest level. That's how it is. I think the challenge is different when the environment is so positive. But I think that's probably what everybody's been saying about Newcastle, and it's a general thing. You know, the home support can be an advantage, but only if they're positive and they're behind the team. Sometimes the home support can be a disadvantage, and maybe there's been times up there that's been the case. And like I said, with empty stadium, it's a different thing. So I'm expecting a good atmosphere. Like I said, we're excited about it. We shouldn't be worried about it at all. It's something that you have to take and look forward to.